Next one is a GST in trading chain. We know that. Practice chapter number 4. So GST in trading chain. Class 10. Class 10. Chapter 4. Next, Maths 1. Maths 1. GST. We write down there again. GST in trading chain. In trading chain. GST in trading chain. GST in trading chain. First, manufacturer. There is a manufacturer. Manufacturer. Next one is a wholesaler. There is a wholesaler. Okay. Last one is a retailer. Retailer. Last one is a consumer. There is consumer. So there is a GST in trading chain. The first is a manufacturer who has made up of things. So like as a bicycle, car, scooter, etc. There is manufacturer. Okay, there is a wholesaler. Last wholesaler, there is a retailer, and last one is a consumer. In this way, we have learned here again. So in all stage, GST is given each and every person. Today we have learned the first input tax and output tax. Write down there again. There is a input tax. Input tax. When trader pays GST. When trader pays GST. When trader pays GST. Pays GST. At the time of purchase. 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 It is called input tax. It is called input tax. It is called, there is input tax. So there is a, next is a output tax. There is a output tax. So what is meant by output tax? We also know that collect GST. Collect GST at the time of sale. At the time of sale. At the time of sale, which is called output tax. 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 We write down here again. So GST payable is equal to, there is formula, GST payable is equal to output tax minus input tax. Write down there again, output tax minus input tax. Output tax minus input tax. Okay now. So today we are clear the whole concept. There is output tax and input tax. Look at here also. The wholesaler, okay, we know that the manufacturer buy the object is 200 rupees, right? So manufacturer paid as a GST on 200 rupees. So wholesaler buy this object is 300 rupees. Again, retailer buy this object from the wholesaler is 400 rupees. The last one is a consumer buy this object from the retailer is 400 rupees. So we know that. So there is a manufacturer are only manufacturing like as a made up of things. So these things taken by the wholesale quantity, a large amount of quantity by the wholesaler. Again, wholesaler sell to the retailer and retailer sell to the customer. So in this way, 200, 300, 400, the last is a 500. The customer buy this price is 500. We know that. Okay. So input tax means when a trader pays GST at the time of purchase. When a trader pays GST. When a trader pays GST at the time of purchase. When a trader pays GST at the time of purchase, we call them as the input tax. So it means that, so example, wholesaler buy from manufacturer. So he paid the GST on 300 rupees. Retailer buy from, retailer buy from, so wholesaler here paid on 400 rupees on the GST. In this way, GST has collected. We have taken example. So we have know that there is a 5% GST. Each and every has 5% paid the GST. But we know that GST rate is same, but object price is increased. Manufacturer cost is 200 rupees. Okay, so manufacturer cost 200 rupees. Here paid the GST on 200 rupees. Wholesaler 300 rupees. Retailer 4 in this way. Example, how to increase their GST? So 200 divided by 5 upon 100. So there is a 5%, 5%, and last one is 5%, right? So 5% means 0, 0 cancel, 2 5s are 10. So who paid? Manufacturer paid the GST is a 10 rupees. Second one is the wholesaler. Wholesaler, the price is increased. Manufacturer has 200 rupees, but wholesaler taken by the manufacturer from the 300 rupees. Again increase their 5% GST means 0, 0 cancel. 3 5s are 15 rupees. Who paid 10 rupees? Manufacturer paid 10 rupees GST. Wholesaler paid 15 rupees GST. In this way, multiply by 5 upon 100. So 0, 0, 4 5s are 20 rupees. Retailer paid 20 rupees GST. The last one is a 5 upon 100. So there is a 5 5s are 25. 25 rupees GST means there is a taxable value is 500 and GST is a 25. The object by the customer is 500 plus 25, 525 rupees in this way. So what we learn again here? So wholesaler example, retailer purchase from wholesaler. So at that time purchase means we call them as the words is using their purchase. At the time of purchase means we are called them input tax. So at the time of purchase, input tax, and the last one is the output tax means at the time of sale. So we know that retailer purchase from wholesaler and this material again sell to the consumer. This material again sell to the consumer. So that's we are called them. We call them as a when trader paid GST at the time of purchase. It is called as a input tax. The last one is a output tax means collect GST at the time of sale. We call it as output tax. It's very easy formula. What is formula? We try to learn the formula. GST payable is equal to output tax minus input tax. If you find the GST between wholesaler and retailer, so we know that at the time of sale we call them as output tax, and at the time of purchase we call them as a input tax. So how many ways tax is put? We also know that. So GST payable is equal to output tax minus input tax. This is formula. GST payable output tax minus input tax. Minus input tax. Next we write down here again. Next question. Next we have learned here again. There is a question. Each and every question we try to solve again there. Now it's very easy. All questions are very easy. First you read properly and then find out your answer. We write down here again practice sets. So there is a practice sets there write down. write down there practice set 4.2. Practice set 4.2 class 10. Write down there 4.2. Practice set 4.2. Practice set 4.2. Next one. Chetna store. Question first. Chetna store. Write down the question 4 at it again. There is a next question. Chetna store. Chetna store. Chetna store. Paid total GST. Total GST. Paid total GST of rupees 1,500,000 of rupees 1,500,000 of rupees 1,500,000 at the time of purchase. 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 At the time of purchase and collect GST. And collect GST. Collect GST rupees 1,22,500 at the time of sale. 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 During 1st of July. During 1st of July. 1st of July to 31st July 2017. Find the GST payable by Chetna store. Find the GST payable by Chetna store. Payable by Chetna stores. Payable by Chetna store. Find the GST payable by Chetna store. Find the GST payable by Chetna stores. Okay now. तर इथे लक्षात घ्या की ज्यावेळेस आपण वस्तू खरेदी करतो, एखादी वस्तू आहे की आपण खरेदी केली आहे, ज्यावेळेस खरेदी करतो त्यावेळेस त्याला म्हणतात, ज्यावेळेस खरेदी करताना जो टॅक्स भरला जातो त्याला म्हणतात इनपुट टॅक्स. ॲट द टाइम ऑफ परचेस वी कॉल देम एज इनपुट टॅक्स. आणि उदाहरणार्थ आणि ही जी खरेदी केलेली वस्तू जेव्हा दुसऱ्याला विकतो आपण त्यावेळेस जो टॅक्स जीएसटी दिला जातो इनपुट टॅक्स, त्याला म्हणतात कोणता टॅक्स? आउटपुट टॅक्स. Means at the time of purchase. At the time of purchase. At the time of purchase we call them as a input tax. Input tax. And at the time of sale, so we call them as a what we write down here? At the time of sale, so there is a sale, so we are call them as a output tax. At the time of purchase, खरेदी करताना, so there is a trader chain. कोणती चेन आहे? ट्रेडर चेन आहे. So look at it also. एक माणूस माल विकत घेतो, तो दुसऱ्या माणसाला विकतो, हा माणूस तिसऱ्या माणसाला विकतो, हा माणूस चौथ्या माणसाला, आणि शेवटी कुठे आहे? कस्टमर कडे येतो. So it means that so first is a manufacturer, second is a wholesaler, third is a retailer, last is a customer. But we know that GST rate is the same. सगळ्याकडे GST rate काय असतो? सेम असतो, पण फक्त किंमत वाढत चालते. हा 200 रुपयात तयार करतो, समोरचा कितीला विकतो? 300 रुपयाला विकतो. हा समोरचा किती विकतो? 400. आणि हा समोरचा किती? 500 रुपयाला विकतो. मग काय वाटलं आपण? 200 वरती 5 किती रुपये? 10 रुपये. So 200 multiplied by 5/100. So there is a 10 rupees, 15 rupees, 20 rupees, and last is a 25 rupees. Means GST is a rate of GST is constant, but what is increase? Price is increase. वस्तूची किंमत वाढत चालली, बरोबर? So it means that at the time of purchase, so there is a wholesaler. At the time of purchase, हा purchase करतो याच्याकडून आणि केलेला purchase कोणाला विकतो? There is a retailer. Ready? At the time of purchase, we call them as an input tax. Which tax? म्हणजे purchase करताना जो GST भरला जातो त्याला म्हणतात input tax. And at the time of sale, there we call them as a output tax. आता समजतंय का? Input tax and output tax. There is a difference. Last one is written. Okay, now you must read the question again, then write down the answer. So there we write down here again. There is a solution. We must read proper question. Chestnut store paid total GST at the rupees 1,05,000 at the time of purchase. Okay. At the time of purchase means input tax, output tax. Input tax. So at the time of purchase, input tax. At the time of sale, output tax. So that is why I write down here again. Write down here. Therefore, write down here input tax. What is input tax? Rupees 1,05,000 is a input tax. Next tax is and collect GST 1,20,000 at the time of sale. Sale means output tax. Write down here. Therefore, there is a output tax. Okay, what is output tax? Output tax rupees 1 lakh. 1,22,500 is output tax. Okay. What do we find out there? We find out there GST payable by Chestnut store, right? So using their formula, GST payable is equal to GST payable is equal to output tax minus input tax. Output tax minus input tax. Okay, write down. Output tax is a 1,22,500. 1,22,500. There is output tax. Input tax is a 1,05,000 is a input tax. Okay, we have separated here again. Yes. So we know that 500 means 1 lakh means so remains is a 22,000 rupees. Over total 22,000. So write down there. The GST payable by Chestnut store. The GST payable by Chestnut store. Rupees 22,000 rupees. That is right answer. How much GST paid by Chestnut store? 22,000 rupees. That is your right answer. Write down the question. Write down there quick fast. Last 5 minutes. Last 5 minutes, write down there quick fast. Okay, we know that sometimes we have changed only answers. Look at here also. Last, okay, now. So, Chestnut store paid GST is rupees. We write down there again, there is a 15,000 rupees. At the time of purchase, he collect GST is 25,000 rupees. Right in? Okay. So there is again means price is increased. So therefore GST is increased. Yes, Guru. What is there again? So at the time input tax Input tax is at the time of purchase means input tax. Only change the values. You will try to solve again answer as yourself. Now we know that there is an input tax. We write down there again. Input tax rupees. There is a 15,000 rupees input tax. What is output tax? Output tax is a 25,000 rupees is output tax. We write down there again. GST payable is equal to output tax. GST payable is equal to output tax minus input tax. We try to solve again the question. Only change the values. We just solve again here. So what is output tax? Write down there 25,000 minus input tax is 15,000. So we get answer 25 minus 15. There is a 10,000. There is a GST payable is a 10,000. There is answer. So we also change the values. We putting there is again 10,000. That's why I don't. So GST payable by change. That's what it is. Okay. Now in your board exam, sometimes only change the values. You will try to solve example step by steps. First write down there input tax. Second write down there output tax. And last GST payable. So we know that GST payable formula. Okay, GST payable formula. GST payable formula input tax minus output tax. So there is again. Write down there question number 2. Are you done? Okay. Next one is a question number 2. You must read question and then find out your answer. मी फक्त या प्रश्नामध्ये काय केलं होतं व्हॅल्यू चेंज केला आणि तुम्हाला सोडायला लावलं होतं की किती येते उत्तर लास्ट. Next, Najma is a proprietor firm registered under GST. Okay, you will try to solve it. Najma is a proprietor. Najma is a proprietor. Najma is a proprietor of a firm. Of a firm. Registered under GST. Registered under GST. She paid GST of rupees 12,500 on purchase and collected rupees 14,750 on sale. What is the amount of ITC? What is the amount of ITC? ITC means input tax credit. What is the amount of ITC? What is the amount of ITC? ITC to be claimed. Question marks. To be claimed. What is the amount of GST payable? 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 Again, write down the solution. Okay. First, Najma is a proprietor of a firm and registered under GST. She paid GST of 12,500 on purchase. Purchase at the time of purchase means input tax. At the time of purchase means input tax, and at the time of sale means output tax. So that is why I write down there again input tax. Look at the board. Look at the boards. Write down there. So at the time of purchase, write down there again. First using there again at the time of purchase. At the time of purchase. What is the meaning of purchase? खरेदी करताना भरलेला टॅक्स. ज्यावेळेस आपण खरेदी करतो आणि खरेदी केलेला दुसऱ्याला विकतो, मग आपण खरेदी करताना जो टॅक्स भरतो त्याला म्हणतो आपण which tax? Input tax. We write down there again. At the time of purchase, we call them as a ICT. ICT means input tax credit. So that is why I write down there. We write down there again input tax. Input tax is equal to input tax credit. So what is input tax? 12,500. So rupees 12,500. Next one is a output tax. At the time of sale. At the time of sale. At the time of sale. Okay, what is the time of sale? At the time of sale. So we call them as there is a output tax. Okay, output tax. Okay, how much output tax? Output tax is a 14,750 rupees. Okay. We find the GST payable formula. GST payable is equal to GST payable is equal to formula. Write down there again GST payable is equal to yes GST payable is equal to correct. Your answer is correct. Output tax minus input tax. Write down there again output tax minus there is a input tax. Output tax minus input tax. Very good answer. Next, what is the output tax? Output tax. Okay, output tax is a 14,750 minus input tax 12,500. Okay, we have separated again. So you get answer. So there is a 14,750 minus 12,500. 5 minus 5 0. Okay, look at the boards. 14,750 minus 12,500. We get a minus 0 minus 0 0. 5c 5. 7 minus 5 2. 4 minus 2 2. 1 minus 1 0. You get answer 2,250. 2,250. So that is 250. 2,250 is a payable GST. Okay. So what is the amount of GST? We call them what is the amount of GST? So that is why I write down there again GST is equal to rupees 2,250 is a GST. And we also know that there is ITC. ITC means 12,500. We call them as a input tax credit. ITC. We call them as a ITC means input tax credit. ITC means input tax credit. Okay. Okay. Write down this statement. Nazma pay GST. Nazma proprietor pay GST. Nazma proprietor pay GST. Nazma proprietor pay GST rupees 2,250. That is the right answer. Nazma proprietor pay GST is 2,250 rupees. Okay, write down there quick fast. Write down there question number comes. Are you done? चले सगळ्यांचं. चला आता पुढचा प्रश्न सॉल्व्ह करून बघूया. You will try to solve next question again here. Now Question number third. It is correct, sir. Question. Next question is the third question. तो प्रश्न पढ़ दो. Question number. Amir Enterprises purchase. Write down there. Question third. Amir Enterprises. Amir Enterprises. Enterprises. Amir Enterprises purchase. Amir Enterprises purchase chocolate sauce bottle. Chocolate sauce bottle. Sauce bottle. Chocolate sauce bottle. And paid GST. And paid GST of rupees 3,800. He sold those bottles he sold those bottles to Akbari Bros. And collect GST collected GST of rupees 4,100. Mayank Food Corner Mayank Food Corner purchase these bottles from Akbari Bros. And paid GST of rupees 4,500. Find the amount of GST payable at every stage. Find the amount payable by every stage of trading and hence find CGST and HGST. 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 CGST and HGST. So all of them find out there. Okay, first we read the question, then find out the each and every stage. Each and every stage payable by the GST. Okay, first, Amir Enterprises purchased chocolate sauce bottle and paid GST 3,300 rupees. First is who paid? Amir Enterprises. So how much amount? 3,800 rupees. At the time of purchase, Amir Enterprises paid GST 3,800 rupees, and he sold to the Akbari Bros. So there is a Amir. So first is a Amir Enterprises. Second is a Akbari Bros. So there is a Akbari Bros. Next one is a Akbari Bros has collected GST 4,100 rupees. How much amount? 4,100 rupees has collected by the GST. Is 4,100 rupees. Mayanpur Corner purchased this bottle from Akbari Bros and paid GST 4,500 rupees. So there is a Mayanpur Corner. So how much paid in there Mayanpur Corner? So there is a Mayanpur Corner. He's paid GST 4,500 rupees. 4,500 rupees. We must read the question again. Mayanpur Corner. There is a Mayanpur Corner would have GST there. Find the amount of. Next one is a. Find the amount of GST payable at every stage. या दोन्हीची नाही, या दोघांमध्ये जीएसटी किती पेबल केली, पुन्हा या दोघांमध्ये जीएसटी पेबल केली, ते काढावं लागेल आपल्याला. आणि मग या दोन्हीचे जे उत्तर येईल त्यामधून पेबल जीएसटी उत्तर येईल. इनपुट टॅक्स, आउटपुट टॅक्स. ओके, लास्ट वन. सो राइट डाउन हियर अगेन सॉल्यूशन. देयर इज सॉल्यूशन. नेक्स्ट सांगा चला. देयर इज Amir Enterprises purchased a chocolate bar. So there is a Amir Enterprises. Let's write down here Amir Enterprises. Amir Enterprises. Okay. At the time of purchase. At the time of purchase, pay GST. How much GST pay? At the time of purchase. Pay. Okay. At the time of purchase means which tax? Input tax. Write down here again. There is a input tax. So input tax is equal to how much amount? 3,800 rupees. 3,800 rupees. At the time of sale. Write down here again. At the time of sale means we call them as a output tax. Write down here again. There is output tax. Okay, what is that? How much output tax? 4,100 is the output tax. Okay, so we find the payable GST. Write down there again. And दोघांमधली GST what about? So write down there payable GST. Payable GST means output tax minus input tax. Output tax minus input tax. बोर्ड का लक्ष्य इकडे तुम्ही काय म्हणता? Output tax minus input tax. Output tax is a 4,100. 4,100 minus next सांगितले कोपऱ्यातला. Output tax is 4,100. Input tax 3,800. We have subtracted again here. Okay, so there is subtraction. 4,100 minus 3,800. 300. What is the remaining? 300. Okay, so we get answer is a. There is a 300. There is a 300. Right? So payable GST is a. We write down there. Payable GST at this stage is a 300 rupees. We get a half of CGST and AGST after we go there. Next. Mayanpur Corner. Who paid? Mayanpur Corner to the again. So there is a input tax. There is output tax. First is a input tax. There is a output tax. Again, they दोघांमध्ये व्यवहार झाला. So there is a input tax, there is a output tax. If we find the GST, so CGST and NGST, write down there. CGST is equal to NGST is equal to 1/2 into GST. 1/2 into GST. GST is a 300 rupees. Answer is a 102. So there is a 150 rupees. So CGST and NGST is a 150 rupees at the first times. Next one is a check list. Last one is again. आता या दोन्ही मध्ये उत्तर आलं. या दोन्ही मध्ये काढायचं. Akbar and Mayank. So they we write down here Akbar and Mayank. So there is a Akbar and Mayank. Akbari bros and Mayank. Akbari bros to the Mayank food parlor. Mayank food parlor. Mayank food parlor. Akbari bros and Mayank food parlor. So there is Mayank food parlor one again. राईट डाउन फर्स्ट. आता इकडे बघा, इथं काय होतं, अगोदर हा काय होता, इनपुट होता, हा आउटपुट होता. आता हे दोघं संपलं. आता या दोघांमध्ये आता हा काय होईल, आउटपुट, हा इनपुट. हा गर्दी करतो ना इकडून. सो ॲट द टाइम ऑफ परचेस, सो व्हॉट इज द आउट इनपुट टॅक्स. राईट डाउन हियर अगेन, देयर इज अ इनपुट टॅक्स. इनपुट टॅक्स आन्सर, इनपुट टॅक्स 4100. देयर इज अ 4100 rupees. Next, output tax. Write down here again, output tax. Chalo, output tax rupees. Output tax. 4,500. You get answer 4,500. Yes, bro. Next, there is a payable GST. Payable GST. Okay, payable GST formula. Payable GST formula. Output tax minus input tax. Write down here again. There is a output tax minus, write down there again, input tax. Output tax minus input tax. How much output tax? 4,500. 4,500 minus input tax 4,100. Correct minus? Okay, there is a 400. So write down here again. There is a payable GST at the stage is a 400. How about we write down here again, there is a CGST is equal to HGST is equal to 1/2 into GST. So 1/2 into 400. 400 half, there is a 200. Next line is CGST is okay. Write down here, be fast. Don't waste your time. सगळ्यांनी लिहून घ्या पटपट, उका लवकर. फॉर्म भरले सर्वांचं झालं का? आवाज करू नका, आवाज कमी करा. दोन पट लवकर रिफ्लेक्शन आवाज येतो. हे कसं काढलं कळलं तुम्हाला? हे तिकडे लास्ट टाइम चित्र होता. आमिर आणि अकबर यामधलं काढलं अगोदर. हा होता इनपुट, हा काय होता आउटपुट. या ट्रान्झॅक्शन मध्ये हा झाला इनपुट आणि हा झाला आउटपुट. हा झालं लक्षात. पुढे सर, what is GST? GST 300 rupees and CGST HST is a half off. GST is a 400 rupees and CGST CGST is a half off. Now we learn again here question number 4. Next question number 4. पुढचा क्वेश्चन घ्या. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन क्वेश्चन नंबर Malik Gas Agency purchased some gas cylinders. Next question write down. Malik Gas Agency. Write down there again. There is a Malik Gas Agency. Malik Gas Agency. There is a Chandigarh Union Territory. UTGST. There is Chandigarh means there is a Chandigarh Union Territory. Union Territory. Union Territory. Union Territory purchase some gas cylinders. Purchase some gas cylinder. Purchase some gas cylinder. Purchase some gas cylinder for industrial use. For industrial use. For industrial use. For rupees 24,500 and sold them to the local customer and sold okay चला पाठीमागे बघूया and sold to the local customer, sold to the local customers for rupees 26,500. Find the GST to be paid. Find the GST to be paid paid at the rate 5%. At the rate 5%. At the rate of 5%. Rate of 5%. And hence find CGST, UTGST. And hence find UTGST, yes, instead of UTGST, CGST, UTGST, CGST. There is CGST. There is CGST. Look at the boards. GST paid. Okay, what will I say? GST paid at the time of purchase. At the time of purchase means input tax. And GST paid at the time of sale means output tax. GST paid at the time of purchase means input tax, and GST paid at the time of purchase means output tax. Last one is in this question we must read again. या प्रश्नात आपल्याला काय काढायचं आहे? अगोदर प्रश्न रीड करा मग आन्सर करा. तुमच्यासाठी 5 मिनिटं आहे. प्रश्न वाचून उत्तर आन्सर बघा काढते चला. 5 मिनिटं आहे, तुम्ही सॉल्व करून बघा. येतो तुम्ही 5 आले का? Malik Gas Agency, Chandigarh Union Territory, purchased some gas cylinder for industrial use of rupees 24,500 rupees. Right? So there is a purchase, and again this sold 26,500. घेतले 24,500 रुपयाला आणि विकले किती 26,500 रुपयाला. हे प्रत्येक व्यवहाराच्या वेळेस किती टक्के जीएसटी भरली? 5% जीएसटी. सो दॅट इज व्हाय राइट डाउन हियर अगेन फर्स्ट. सो UTGST means so there is a union territory, केंद्र शासित प्रदेश. We call it as a UTGST, union territory. We must write down here again. So there first write down there input tax. There is an input tax. Write down there again input tax. Input tax. Okay, input tax credit. So there is a price. What is price of cylinder? 24,000. 24,000 multiplied by 100, and rate of GST is 5%. So 5 upon 100. 0 0 0 0 cancel. We multiply again. So 245 multiplied by 5. Again 5 by 25, carry 2. 5 4 is 20 plus 2 22. Carry 2. 5 is 10. 10 plus 12 12. So there is a input tax credit. So next is this cylinder. This cylinder sold to the local customers of rupees 26,500. घेतलेले सिलेंडर कितला विकले? 26,500 रुपये. So again with same GST applied in both. So again write down. So that is why I write down here at the time of purchase. At the time of purchase. At the time of purchase. So that is input tax. Input tax credit. We call them as an input tax. Next one is a output tax. Again write down the find out there. There is a output tax. What is the price of cylinder? So okay, sold to the local customer is 26,500. And what is the rate of GST? 5%. Rate of GST is 5%. 5% madam. Again write down there. So there is output tax. We write down there again. Again 26,500 multiplied by 5 upon 100. 0 0 cancel. Okay. 5 by 25. Carry 2. 5 6 30. 30 plus 2 32. Carry 3. 5 to 10, 10 plus 3, 13. There is an output tax. How much output tax? Is equal to rupees 13. How much output tax? 1325 is the output tax. Okay, write down there again. Next one is we using their easy formula. So therefore we find out their payable GST. Write down there again. There is a payable GST. Okay, formula payable GST is equal to output tax minus input tax. Write down there again. There is a output tax minus there is a input tax. Output tax minus input tax. What is output tax? Output tax is there. Output tax. So output tax is 1325. So 1325 minus input tax 1225. 1225. How much remain? So 100 rupees remain. Right? 5 minus 5 0, 2 minus 2 0, 3 minus 2 1, 1 minus 1 0. There is 100 rupees. So payable GST is 100 rupees. Okay. So that is why we know that CGST is equal to UTGST. CGST is equal to SGST. The केंद्र शासित प्रदेश आहे म्हणून काय म्हणायला लागेल UTGST, Union Territory. So that is why I write down here again. There is a CGST is equal to UTGST. CGST is equal to UTGST. CGST is equal to CGST is equal to UTGST. CGST is equal to UTGST. Formula CGST is equal to UTGST is equal to 1/2 into GST. आपण मागच्या नंतर काय वापरलं होतं? CGST is equal to पण इथं युनियन टेरिटरी आहे म्हणजे करायचं UTGST असा शब्द वापरायचा. So we putting here GST value is equal to 1/2 into GST. What is the amount GST? 100 rupees. Divide by 2, you get answer 50 rupees. So that is why I write down here. First is a CGST. So write down here CGST is equal to rupees 50 and last is a UTGST is equal to rupees 50. That's your right answer. Write down here real fast. You have only 5 minute times. तुमच्याकडे 5 मिनिट टाइम आहे स्वतः सॉल्व करून बघा. ओके झाले सगळ्यांचं लवकर क्लिक फास्ट. किती वेळ लागणार? पटपट लवकर, जास्त वेळ नको आहे. आलंय सगळ्यांचं? इथं ऍट द टाइम ऑफ परचेस होतं, ऍट द टाइम ऑफ काय होतं? सेल करायचं लक्षात ठेवा. There is a input tax 1225, output tax 1320. Payable GST is 100 rupees. UTGST next is CGST is equal to UTGST. झालं सगळ्यांचं? ठीक. ओके, आपण आज इथं थांबू. उरलेले क्वेश्चन आपण उद्याच्या लेक्चर मध्ये घेऊ. आजचे शिकवलेले प्रश्न आहे उद्या त्यांना घरून पुढे सराव करणार. समजलं का? ठीक आहे.